There have never been more investment opportunities setting up than there are right now. And because of a lot of the exact same situations which are emerging right now that we're going to talk about in this video, because of that, the risks are also multiplying and growing. As you guys know, the top opportunities come out of times of transition, pain points, when there's chaos. You've heard the expression blood in the streets. When there's a lot of widespread financial hardships. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. And I always tell you guys, this is going to happen either way. So you might as well help the people you care about and land on your feet on the other side of all this commotion. The mud has begun hitting the fan. I'm not talking about what's going to be happening down the road or something like that. I'm talking about now. The mud is hitting the fan right now. So then I ask you, what are you going to do? And it's a serious question. Really listen to the question. What are you going to do about all this? Let's talk about some of that in this video. Right now, humanity is going through a decades-long, absolutely logarithmic evolution, which includes, first and foremost, the internet, and the fact that we have just this bottomless compendium of all human knowledge, accessible on your smartphone when you're sitting on the seat on the bus. The ways we communicate and connect with each other, the way that we learn. For example, right now you can go and look up what is the most aggressive animal in the entire world. And you can find a video about it in 2 seconds. Anything you want to know. You have a thought, you can look it up and get the answer right away. And just to finish that other thought, the most aggressive animal in the world is a hippopotamus. You've got artificial intelligence coming into its own for the very first time ever. They're developing quantum computing. There's dramatically enhanced cyber warfare capabilities, and that's not even to mention the dramatically enhanced military capabilities. We've got space travel now. It's possible. It's happening. People aren't just exploring many miles away from Earth. They're exploring the deepest part of the Earth, which is the Marianas Trench. And they're going down there in custom-made submarines. And this is the last one in my intro here I want to mention. And I wanted to say this one last purposely because it's a surprisingly polarizing topic. But apparently aliens are real. And I don't have a horse in this race. I'm not pushing for my own beliefs or challenging yours. However, what I'm actually saying, what's important in this video for the purposes of what we're talking about, is that the fact is, the majority of people now believe that there's intelligent life on other planets. And that's actually 65% of people believe that. And when people change their beliefs, they change what they're going to do, how they're going to act, what their buying habits are. Everything means something. Everything's connected. And I believe this whole topic of alien life forms has so many more ramifications than people are recognizing or talking about or seeming to understand. There are some opportunities in and among all the stuff I talked about just in this intro, and I'll start by telling you a few examples just a bit later so you can get the wheels in your mind starting to roll. You'll notice the stuff around you in society. I'll even give you a couple of stock ticker symbols of companies I like that are possibly a great opportunity, but I want to be clear that I'm not suggesting anyone buy anything in this video. I'm going to name companies by ticker symbol, and you do what you want. You get a lead on a company, you look into it, do your own due diligence. Nothing in this video is intended as personalized trading advice for you. I've got a great quote here from Martha Beck. How you do anything is how you do everything. I'm going to start with a really optimistic and positive one, is that the amount of medical knowledge that we have as a species of humanity is now doubling every 73 days. That's according to Elsevier. It's, among other things, a research analysis company. And I used to hear that humanity's medical knowledge was doubling every 4 years. I remember when that was a thing that came out. And then soon enough it was 2 years. And then soon enough it was doubling every year. And now it's a matter of months. We are in a logarithmic upswing with technology, understanding, and capabilities. So at that pace of expanding, absolutely exploding medical knowledge, there are hundreds, thousands of investment opportunities that you can spot and root out and turn a few $100s into a few thousand pretty easily if you go about it the right way. And like all the rest of this video, I'm going to be talking just to kind of get your wheels moving, get you thinking about how to spot opportunities. If you're in line at a restaurant and the lineup goes around the block and out the door, that might be a good investment. So you look and see if they're publicly traded. You look into it more. You get some investment leads. You start noticing things around your society. The way society is transitioning and changing is going to lead to so many angles to turn a small amount of money into a lot of money. And I'm also going to talk about the general awareness of everyone now. The speed of information dissemination is absolutely immediate. A celebrity couple breaks up, you hear about it within minutes, let alone hours. The understanding of information, because there's so much more of it. Everyone's got access to all the information and knowledge they need to make the right decisions. That's another way of saying, and just like myself, your capacity has never, ever been greater. You'll never be as young as you are right now, and your capacity to learn and make the right decisions has never been greater than it is right now. And this is all happening under the guise of dramatically shortening attention spans. And this isn't just complaining about kids nowadays. Even my own attention span has gotten dramatically shorter in the last number of decades. It went Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and now I can't watch anything for more than 5 minutes without getting bored. There's all these spam bots and impersonation programs going around right now. If you see on YouTube, you put out a video and all of a sudden you've got somebody impersonating you, trying to get people to call his WhatsApp number. But in all of this, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of investment opportunities. The company that makes the program to keep the spam off of your channel, the computer companies involved in the space. But again, not just with this, but with any aspect of investing, I would really suggest you make a point of avoiding story stocks. And that's what I was talking about, where a stock sounds too good to be true. It's a car that's engine runs on gravity, or it's a cure for some kind of cancer, or a box that turns salt water into drinking water. It's going to revolutionize the world. These story stocks cost a lot of people a lot of money because they need the story to drive the share price, even though there's nothing underneath it that's an actual viable company. But if you find that viable company that's actually a real company that's doing well and growing in a space that's growing, the share price typically follows suit and it's going to go up a lot. There's a lot of companies right now that you could get invested in that are still seeds that are just growing leaves above the dirt. And they're going to be growing for many years and they're going to do very well. And you only need to find one or two of those in your entire life to make it more than worthwhile. Artificial intelligence is now being propagated and pushed and developed by countries all over the world. It's not only going to be generating a lot of profits from a business perspective, but on a national level too. Every major country worldwide is developing and leaning heavily into artificial intelligence development. We'll get into some of the companies involved in the space in just a bit. But I also want to talk about all these economic cracks that are happening in the ice that we're standing on above whatever mildly frozen lake. You know the recession is about to happen, and everything that happens with that is going to happen. You also know that, in my opinion, real estate prices are going to come down significantly and dramatically, and once they start going, in my opinion, they're going to come down really quickly. And there's also this debt bomb that everyone whose job it is to look after our financial security, they're ignoring. And I got to believe this debt bomb is going to absolutely explode. It's a matter of time. It's not a matter of if. And as this recession happens, even if it doesn't, you're still going to see a rise in bankruptcies, a deluge of defaults and delinquencies I've been talking about for, feels like far too long now, but for quite a while. And with this comes all the layoffs that you're hearing about on the news. Although I would suggest when you have a company that's going to lay off a bunch of people, it makes news headlines, and that's why you hear about it. There's a lot of hiring going on at the same time as well. And over 2023, you're going to see that number do nothing other than climb. We're going to see a rise in civil unrest. As times get tough, you're going to see more crime, more suicides, and of course more homelessness. And now we're closer to World War III than we ever have been by far. Just ask the crew at the doomsday clock that are talking about 2.5 minutes to midnight, which is what a waste of time. Everything they're doing
It is now 90 seconds to midnight.
But I understand that they're trying to bring awareness to a problem. I don't find their approach effective at all. But that's my own personal perspective on it. I think there's better ways for them to raise awareness about the issues that they're worried about than the way they're going about it. But as we approach World War III, there's going to be risk premiums and even disruptions in availability for things like oil. There's going to be a risk premium on things like gold. But I'll give you a few examples just to get your mental gears going. But this is out of hundreds, maybe thousands of opportunities because of this transitional period that we are in right now. The entire financial system is right in the middle of a huge transition. Technology is transitioning. Medical capabilities. The way information is available and bouncing around through society, how we can travel to space, how we can travel to the bottom of the ocean. And a lot of it is because only now can we finally do some of this stuff. Space travel is kind of newish, but it won't be long before it isn't such a new thing and people just take it for granted. There's more and more space travel, people paying money to go to space right now than there ever has been. Of course, that's the way it is, because we're going from a base of zero, no one traveled into space, to now anyone can do it. You got a few bucks together, you can send yourself into space. And there's opportunities in this. There's businesses that will take you into space, but then there's businesses that back up and support that business that takes you into space. They've got parts, they need to order things, they need to market. But going away from outer space, going down to the deepest part of the earth, there's custom-made submarines. All the billionaires apparently are going down to the Marianas Trench now. But there's numerous companies right now, and there will only be more companies in the future, which do things such as rent submarines. Not necessarily to go to the deepest part of the ocean, but maybe just to rent the submarine at all. That will become much more popular and common. And in that, there may be an increase in business for one of the underlying businesses, and therefore that business will increase in share price. These are the kinds of things we talk about in the newsletter. But what else is going logarithmically? Robots. And it won't be long until you go into a McDonald's or a bar and you're being served by a robot rather than a person, because you don't have to pay the robot. Some of the leading robot makers, Rockwell, Honeywell, Mitsubishi, Boston Dynamics, and actually I'll give you a whole list of a bunch of really small robotics companies on screen right now, just to show you, for example, if you decided it's in your best interest to get involved with the robotics company, here's how you could start doing your due diligence. Find one of these gems among all the other companies that are trying to grow in this space. So for example, if you believed that the robots will really ramp up and become more and more popular and more in use, you might want to invest in a company related to that. And I'm not talking about any of these companies in this video as a suggestion for you to buy it. And that's not a disclaimer. I'm telling you, I haven't looked into any of these companies to be able to give you my opinion on what you should do about whether or not you should buy it. So if I mention a company, if you want to look into it, you look into it. Don't take it from me. Healthcare, as I told you earlier, medical knowledge doubling every 73 days. And by the time you hear this, I bet that number is going to be even lower. But with a lot of advancements in technological research and capabilities, there are unlimited opportunities beneath that. And there's a lot of risks because a lot of companies will be in a cutting edge industry that you think is going to do really well. And maybe even if you're right and it does do really well, a lot of the companies in that time will go out of business. They'll overspend. They'll have a drop down in business. They'll go bankrupt. Or just as bad, they lock up your money. It's just dead money for years as the company tries to do anything other than go bankrupt. There's a lot of great cybersecurity companies, Cisco, Palo Alto, IBM, and there's plenty of smaller buyout candidates, smaller cybersecurity companies, which may consolidate with other companies. And when a company gets bought out, it typically jumps up in price a bit because a lot of times the buying company has to pay a premium on the share prices to get enough for the shareholders to agree to the takeover. So you might make 40% on your shares in an instant when they become a buyout candidate publicly. There's a lot of trends towards personal protection, and especially non-lethal weapons like For example, the Bolo wrap, which I heard about from one of you guys, you sent me this, and it's publicly traded, ticker symbol WRAP. I don't remember if we covered this in the Peter Leeds newsletter or not, so that's my disclosure. I don't own shares in this. I haven't looked at it in a while either, so I don't know where it is right now, if it's a good investment. But it may be something that you want to keep an eye on. Things like this company were so small, they've got a good idea, and if this becomes a bigger and bigger thing, the share price is going to absolutely do great over the coming years. And one of my favorites is a sound-based crowd control system with LRAD, LRAD, and I have covered this company, written up reports about them on at least 3 occasions for the Peter Leeds newsletter. I haven't looked at them in a while, so I'm not suggesting you buy the shares at the current price. Maybe you do. I don't know. You look into it. You do your own due diligence. That's why it's so important to understand how the company works. So you can see on their balance sheet, do they have more liabilities or assets? Is their revenue numbers increasing? And is it increasing at a fast enough rate that they're going to be able to turn a lot of those revenues into actual earnings? Some of the great artificial intelligence companies, and I want to talk about the big ones here, the big corporations, because I think artificial intelligence for a small corporation, maybe they get something working or whatever, but this is such a big project. So I'm going to tell you about Alphabet, Nvidia, Amazon is even involved with artificial intelligence, and Google, companies like that. I would, in my opinion, lean more, if you want to get into the artificial intelligence space, lean more towards the really big corporations. They're going to need to be a big corporation in order to see this idea through. And based on the economic cracks that I'm seeing coming, I've been telling you about the whole way for a long time now. As the economic fall happens, gold prices will rise because the dollar is declining. And of course, there's also going to be a risk premium. There's a war premium on gold. All precious metals will increase in price. All commodities will increase in price as the dollar gets debased. And in that, there's tremendous opportunities. I've been telling you about this opportunity for so long, and I showed you the charts of some of the gold mining companies just the other day, and you can see how good they're doing from when I was talking about them. Too early. I admit that. I was way too early on this one. But I'd say one more thing, though. There's a lot of liquidator companies that are going to be taking a bankrupt company's inventory and selling it for pennies on the dollar. Those companies will do well as they're all of a sudden surrounded by a bunch of bankrupt companies. The one thing I'd suggest, though, is don't make the mistake of chasing everything. It's not like when you go to CNBC and every single day they tell you 18 different things that you need to buy now. Who's got that much money? You should choose 1 or 2 or 3 trends that you believe are going to play out, and then really think about how can you benefit from being right about this trend doing exactly what you think it's going to do. You think that robotics are going to continually replace people for manual labor? Then how do you play that? What companies are making the robots? What consultants are going to big corporations to help get them set up with automation? Back in the day, I did an audio program, and it was 2 discs. The audio program was about just looking around in society, looking around in life to see the best opportunities that are around you every day when you just walk around. Between home and driving to the office and then driving back later in the day, there's opportunities. There's opportunities all around you all day if you open your mind to them. Have a feel, have an understanding with the overall economy. Where's it going to go? And then have an understanding of what kind of technologies are being built to answer problems in this space. What kind of opportunities are there for investors? If you know that the entire economy is about to have a very hard time, especially real estate, you know enough to not go and buy a building or a house right now. But maybe if you have a house, you might want to sell your house and get the money out now while the market is still high. And this is not personalized trading advice for you, but get your money out now when the market is still high and then buy back in later. That's one way to play a weak economy. Take a look at the big picture, all these moving parts, and then figure out 3 or maybe even 4 or 5 things that you think are going to happen, and then think about how you can capitalize on them. And you do have the ability to do this. Don't think you're not an investment person or a stock market guy, and so you leave it to the pros. Look at what the pros are doing. The pros are the ones like Bernie Madoff, Sam Bankman-Fried. These are the guys that are blowing it for you. And the professionals, the authorities, they're the worst ones of all. And so where does that leave you? You are basically abandoned in a field. Take my hand and let's start thinking about what you and I are going to do to get out of this absolutely chaotic situation that they've put us into, where most people are about to take a massive financial hit. There's going to be a massive wealth transfer, and you do not want to be on the wrong side of this.